I turned the light off in the hallway tonight, and for a second I forgot which room was mine. It's funny how that happens. You spend 60 years in a house, and the shadows still find a way to trick you. I suppose when you're 92, the shadows have earned that right. My name is Arthur Penhaligon. I'm 92 years old, and I think I've finally run out of things to wait for. It's quiet here now. Just the hum of the refrigerator and the way the floorboards settle when the temperature drops. People think that when you get to this age, you're filled with a sort of golden wisdom, like a library waiting to be indexed. But I don't feel like a library. I feel like a man who spent his whole life building a ship only to realize, standing on the shore, that I never actually liked the ocean. I remember 1958. I was 30, and I was so hungry. Not for food, we had enough of that, but for the more of things. I remember sitting in a gray office with a view of a brick wall, feeling like every minute I wasn't climbing, I was sinking. I had this physical ache in my chest to be important, to be the man people looked at when he walked into a room. I got there, eventually. I bought the house with the wraparound porch. I bought the car that made the neighbors quiet when I pulled into the driveway. I remember the smell of the leather in that car. It smelled like a rival. I spent 15 years making sure that leather stayed perfect. I didn't let the kids eat in there. I didn't let the dog in there. I sat in that car, alone, driving to meetings, feeling like I had finally won. But sitting here tonight, I can't tell you a single thing about those meetings. I can't remember the taste of the expensive dinners or the feeling of the promotions. What I remember, what's actually keeping me awake tonight, is a Tuesday in 1964. It wasn't a special day. It was raining. My daughter, Clara, was 4. She had found a snail in the garden and brought it inside on a piece of cardboard. She wanted me to look at it. She was vibrating with this pure, unadulterated wonder. And I remember looking at my watch. I told her I had a call. I told her the snail belonged outside because it would make a mess. I didn't even look at the snail. I looked at the clock. I felt the pressure of the important things pressing against the back of my skull. I watched her face go flat. Not sad, just extinguished. She took the snail back out into the rain. I would give every cent of the pension I spent 40 years securing just to go back to that Tuesday and look at the snail. Just to sit on the floor in my good suit and be present in that one tiny, inconsequential moment. I spent my life trading the now for a later that turned out to be hollow. I thought I was building a future for them, for her. But you can't live in a future. You can only live in the minutes, and I was always somewhere else. I was always in the next year, the next goal, the next achievement. I've been rich. I've had the accounts and the respect, and I've been poor. Back when we were first starting out and shared a single heater in a drafty apartment. And the terrible truth I've found at 92 is that the money didn't change the quality of my soul. It just gave me more distractions to hide it behind. There was a time, maybe 20 years ago, when Margaret was still here. She was the one who understood the silence better than I did. We were sitting on the porch, the one I had worked so hard to pay for. The sun was setting, turning the oak trees into these long, spindly giants. She reached over and took my hand. Her skin felt like soft paper by then, fragile but warm. She didn't say anything. She just held it. And I remember feeling this intense restlessness. I was thinking about the roof. It needed shingling. I was thinking about the estate taxes. I was thinking about how much light we were losing and that I should probably go inside and check the mail. I pulled my hand away to swat a mosquito, and then I stood up to go inside. I didn't sit back down. I think about that hand a lot lately. Now that my own hands are gnarled and cold, and there's no one left to hold them, I realize now that the important things I was worrying about, the shingles, the taxes, the mail, they were just ghosts. They weren't real. The only thing that was real in that universe was the warmth of her palm against mine. I spent so much energy protecting things that could be replaced. I insured the house. I maintained the lawn. I polished the silver. I treated the inanimate objects in my life with more consistency than I treated the people. You can always buy another car. You can always fix a roof. But you cannot buy back the look in a woman's eyes when she's offering you her silence and you walk away to check the mail. It's a slow realization. It doesn't hit you like a lightning bolt. It's more like the tide coming in. You don't notice it until your feet are wet, and then your knees, and then you're underwater. I see the world now through this thin veil. I watch the people through my window. Young couples hurrying to their cars, checking their phones, looking so frantic, I want to open the window and yell, "It doesn't matter!" But I know they wouldn't hear me. I wouldn't have heard me. I used to think that being successful meant leaving something behind. A legacy. A name on a building, or at least a healthy inheritance. But standing at the edge of it all, I see that the only legacy that matters is the way you made the people around you feel in the quiet moments. I didn't understand that for a long time. I thought I was the provider. I thought my value was in what I brought home, not in who I was when I got there. I remember a winter when the power went out. We were huddled in the living room, and we had nothing to do but talk. No television, no work to bring home. Just us and a few candles. I remember feeling so uncomfortable. I didn't know how to just be with my own family without a task to perform. I felt like a failure because the lights were out. Looking back, that was the most light we ever had in this house. The darkness forced us to see each other, but as soon as the power came back on, I went right back to the shadows of being busy. I went back to the important work. My daughter called me yesterday. She's grown now, with her own children. She was telling me about her work, about her stress, about her plans for the next 5 years, and I stayed quiet. I just listened to her breathe on the other end of the line. She asked me if I was still there. I told her I was. I told her I wasn't going anywhere. I wanted to tell her about the snail. I wanted to tell her that the 5-year plan is a lie we tell ourselves to keep from being afraid of the present. But she wasn't ready to hear it. You have to live through the empty rooms to understand why they're empty. I'm sitting here now, and the house is full of stuff. Expensive stuff, things I thought would make me feel whole. But they're just objects. They don't breathe, they don't remember me. If I could trade it all, the house, the success, the pride. For one more hour on that porch with Margaret without pulling my hand away, I would do it in a heartbeat. I would do it even if we were sitting in the mud. But the clock doesn't go backward. It only goes one way. And at 92, the ticking is the only thing that's honest. I think I'll stay here in the dark for a little while longer. It's easier to see what matters when there's nothing left to look at. I don't know why I felt the need to say this. Maybe just to hear it said out loud if you're listening. Maybe just sit still for a minute. Don't do anything. Don't plan anything. Just feel the air in the room. It's more precious than you think.